I'm Charles Schmidt, and I'm showing a body of still life paintings at Rosenfeld Gallery here in March 2011. The still lives are mostly based on things I've collected over the years. I own all the objects that are in these paintings, most of which cost me nothing. I assemble them according to certain meanings they have for me and certain connections they have to my life, which is a pretty elaborate subject. I don't need to get into that,
but perhaps I do. I had never met Charles Schmidt before his March 6th opening at the Rosenfeld Gallery, but I was familiar with his work. I still have a catalog of his from the year 2000 at the no longer extant Moore Gallery. Charles is quite the Renaissance man, and I suspected from his accent that he had roots in my native Pittsburgh. In this old catalog, I learned he went to Pittsburgh's amazing Carnegie Mellon University, and that he had been the White House calligrapher for President Kennedy. I also learned that he has an interest in astronomy and was commissioned by NASA to paint a series on the space program. He became a longtime professor of art at Tyler School of Art and spent some years teaching in their program in Rome. The intense realism of his work confirms his love of the Italian Renaissance, and like those great Italian painters, his interest in art intersects with a love of mathematics.
the most interesting, formally, I think, are the wide-angle paintings. There's some long-format paintings which are in what's called cylindrical perspective. The perspective is not Renaissance perspective, but it occurs since the Renaissance, and it's a way of stretching things into long formats by having vanishing points 180 degrees apart. What is normally a straight line at the bottom of a table becomes a sine curve because the vanishing points are north and south. They're opposite one another. There's also one in the back for Renaissance perspective purposes. So there's a spatial involvement which I think it makes those long format paintings more concrete. They almost get into the viewer's space. It's a little hard to keep them back in the picture space. I retired from Tyler in '08, but when I was teaching, I frequently gave the students a lot of information about cylindrical perspective, and they did some really ambitious projects with it. And we even did some 360-degree drawings that were formed into cylinders. And when you get up inside them, you look like you were in an undistorted world, but if you flatten them out, they were all sine curves. It's an elaborate mathematical process if you want to do it.
Well, most artists since Thomas Eakins have not wanted to do it that way. I have a degree in mathematics, so I find it really refreshing to see an artist with such a rigorous attitude towards perspective. Of course, technical rigor in and of itself does not suffice to make great art. But in Charles's case, there is an abiding mystery in his paintings which lies beyond their technical mastery. They generate a feeling that to me is akin to that in the work of Giorgio de Chirico.
I wouldn't say I identify with de Chirico, but I think I've responded to the same things he responded to.
But that sort of metaphysical school where...
Yes, it's a metaphysical idea. I've lived in Rome off and on for 3 years, and I visited a lot. I'm going again this fall. I think it gets into your pores. The way you think about things changes when you spend time in Italy. You become aware of layers, and you become aware of time when you're in Italy. You're standing somewhere and you see 3 or 4 layers of archaeology, and it's amazing. It's everywhere you look. And so the age of things is very important in Italy when you're looking, and I think the mystery of things is also inherent in a lot of what you see there. There's also objects in these paintings which are very mysterious. People don't know what they are, and I'm not about to tell them. Because I think mystery is a very important element in art. I think if everything is known and known to the same degree, it's boring. And I like the idea that things have no name, but they're fascinating things. I mean, I wouldn't choose something innocuous to use if we didn't know what it was, if it were just not interesting to look at. But some of these things that have no name and no known function are really fascinating things. So that's one of the reasons I use them in still life.
Both intellect and emotion are reflected in Charles Schmidt's extraordinary and abidingly strange still lives. He snatches objects out of time and celebrates the mystery in artifacts of no name. You can see these paintings at the Rosenfeld Gallery through the 27th of March.